Ralph Watson, international speaker, so we're quite lucky to have him in the UK with us at the time. Also a business coach, and I'm sure he'll tell you a bit more about himself and how you can get in touch with him if you'd like him to help you with your business skills. I'm sure there's lots of ways you can do that. So I'll let you make a start, Ralph. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Nice to see some of the faces. Quick show of hands. Who was here the last one? I know you were here. Couldn't get you off. I know you're this side. Couldn't get you off. Excellent. So welcome back. For those of you here for your first time, welcome. I'm damn sure you will probably never come back after my little stint. That's a challenge. Okay, so let me ask you a question. How many of you have a role model in your life? Somebody that you would like to be like, somebody you've admired, somebody who does something that you'd like to be able to do. Yeah? Great, excellent. So here's my tip. If you haven't got one, get one. Get one, because we stretch ourselves by finding people who do the things that we want to do and do it well and modelling them. So I'd like to introduce you to my role model. This is my role model. Okay? I'm going to tell you a little story. I had a very unhappy childhood. I was born at a very early age, and by the time I was about 10, I was pretty miserable. And I'll tell you why I was miserable. I hated my name. You see, I was called Ralph, and at the time when I grew up in North London, in a place called Arra, and when I went to school, my friends were called Michael, Andrew, David, Peter. Great names. And do you know why they're great names? Because you could shorten them, so you become Mickey, Pete, Dave, Andy. Real kind of macho names. What was I? I was Ralphie. And the number of times I went home and I said to my mum and dad, can I change my name? Can I be something else? Can I be anything but Ralph? And my dad said to me one day, he said, look, son, why don't you think of it like this? You are the fourth generation of Ralphs in this family. And the name Ralph has a meaning and has a history. So go find out about it. So I went off, and in those days we didn't have Google. We had encyclopedias. Bless you. Anyone here remember encyclopedias?
Britannica.
Showing our age.
Speak for yourself, mate. So I went off and I did a little bit of research. I did a little bit of digging, and I asked a few people, and I discovered the name Ralph actually has ancient history. If you go back to the old Norse times, the Vikings, the Danes, the Saxons, the name Ralph comes from the old name Wolf, which means wolf. So instead of being Ralph, I became Wolfie.
Not Wolfie Smith.
No, power to the people. It doesn't quite work, does it? However, what happened then was it began a lifelong kind of connection, a lifelong interest in the wolf. And so many years later, I began looking at the wolf itself in the wild and the wolf pack in the wild and asking myself, how can I make this a role model? What do these creatures do in the wild? And how can I relate that to my business and to other people's businesses? And a bit of digging, a bit of reading, a bit of using the modern encyclopedia, the book of YouTube. And I made some discoveries. What I want to share with you this afternoon is some ways of thinking, some attitudes and some strategies that come out of similarities between you and I and this creature, because we are not that far apart. Okay, this guy's got 4 legs, I've only got 2, however. And as we go through, what I'm going to ask you to do is to just challenge yourself to think a little bit differently, to adopt some different strategies, some different behaviours, and see how that takes you forward. My name is Ralph Watson, as I've already been introduced. I'm a public speaker, I'm a business coach, I'm a leadership development specialist. I've worked all over most of the eastern side of the planet. Been west a couple of times, didn't like that much, but I go east a lot. So I've worked all over Europe, I've worked across the Middle East, down into India, Sri Lanka, loved it. This guy goes with me everywhere I go, and the teams and businesses that I work with who adopt this stuff become supercharged performers. So are you ready to learn?
Yep.
That's the
Yeah.
question. Good. So I'm going to share with you a few strategies, just a few, and give you some things to think about before you go away. And the first is, when you look at this guy, or guy, can I say guy, is it all right? Ladies, if I say guy, just kind of generic, okay. When you look at this guy, he has, first of all, a very key skill set or attitude that we can use, and this is it. When you look at this fella in the wild, he is absolutely focused. The wolf in the wild exists in a merciless environment. A bit like Birmingham, really, I suppose. It's okay, when I'm in Manchester, I say it's a bit like Manchester. He exists in a merciless environment, and he is focused on survival and thriving. The wolf in the wild has to be completely focused. So the wolf has an outcome. Just as we need to have outcomes, we need to have goals. All of you people sitting here, I assume, are in business, yes? Okay, little check here. This is yes. This is no. This, I'm in the wrong place. Country. So, the wolf is completely focused. When you look at the top business people, the top athletes, the top sports people, the top performers across any walk of life, they are focused on their outcome. They know what they want to achieve. Now let me ask you a question. How many of you go shopping at some time during the week? You don't do any shopping. Right. Okay, so how many of you, when you go shopping, make a list of what you want to buy? Special question now. How many of you make a list of what you don't want to buy? So why is it when I sit down with business people and individuals and I ask them, what is your goal? They tell me what they don't want. I don't want to live here. I don't want to do this job. I don't want that. I don't want this. Why? Because as human beings, we have developed this great knack of focusing on what we don't want. Well, let me tell you this, if that's what you focus on, guess what?
That's what you get. That's what you get.
That's what you're going to get, because where you put your focus is what you're going to get. So you need to focus on what you want to achieve. And this guy is not very different to us. Absolute focus. And that focus means that you will do whatever you need to do. Have you heard the saying, do what you need to do now so you can do what you want to do tomorrow? Mm-hmm. That's what you need to do. Now, I had quite a long drive last week sometime, I think it was, and I was listening to, I don't know if any of you listen to the radio in the afternoon, if you get the chance. They were in Manchester, and all the Olympians and the Paralympians were all being greeted and celebrated in Manchester. Did any of you watch any of the Olympics?
Hardly.
Yeah. Well, I have to say I sometimes sat up till 4 o'clock in the morning because I was gobsmacked, not just by the performance, but the absolute dedication of these people achieving the very best they can be. Complete focus. Now, how many of you here have heard of this wonderful saying, work-life balance? Yeah, which is lovely, and that's how it should be. But there are times when your focus means that you need to put all of your energy into something. That's how Mo Farah wins multiple gold medals. That's how Jess Ennis-Hill becomes an Olympic champion, has a baby, then goes back out there and gets the silver medal, because it's complete focus. That is how people create businesses that are powerhouses of success, is to get that focus. So you've got to have a goal, and you've got to be completely focused on it. Now, I know we have more than one HR person in the room, so I will make no apology for what I'm going to say next, which is, how How many of you have heard of SMART goals?
Yeah.
Yeah? Great. Well, give me a break. Give me a break. The SMART goal is a construct, and that construct all too often leads people to create mediocrity. No major achievement in human history has been the result of a SMART goal. Cast your mind back in history to antiquity and imagine yourself at the moment standing in the tent of Alexander the Great. And there he is with all his generals around him, and he says, look lads, I want to conquer the known world. I haven't got long, but I have got to make sure we conquer the known world. Now, how many of his generals said, don't know, Alex, I'm not sure that's a SMART goal. Is that achievable? Is that realistic? No. So when you think about your goals, yes, you can smile. It's going to get me after. When you think about your goals, get outside of this. Is it nicely achievable? Is it nicely realistic? Stretch the boundaries. Get outside of the comfort zone, because nothing, damn all changes in your comfort zone. Get outside of your comfort zone, because that's where change happens, that's where growth happens, and start challenging yourself. I think it was Richard Branson who once said, if your goals don't make you sick, they're not big enough. Yeah? So you've got to have that absolute focus on what it is that you want to achieve.